I want to get to another disturbing story in the national security arena now. This one comes out of North Dakota. There's a nuclear missile base there. The Air Force has removed 17 launch officers from duty. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel is demanding more information after what a commander there called rot, and that's a quote, rot in the Air Force. The Air Force has acknowledged concern about what it calls, quote, an attitude problem, tells Congress the weapons at all times were secure. So let's ask Colonel Cedric Leighton, U.S. Air Force retired, president of Cedric Leighton Associates, what on earth is going on? Colonel, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Jonathan.
And what on earth is going on? What does rot in the force mean in this particular case?
Well, I think what we're dealing with here, Jonathan, is a very bad morale situation that has transferred itself into the operational side of things. And of course, when you're dealing with nuclear missiles, the operational side of things, if it doesn't go well, has extreme consequences, not only for the nation, but for people all around the world. And what you see is a basic breakdown because a lot of the people in the missile career field believe that their field is a dying career field. And when that happens, if the leadership isn't paying attention to what the rank and file is feeling, then you often get a situation where these types of behaviors, where the operational checklists are not followed, things of that nature happen that then have significant operational consequences, and it becomes a very difficult procedure that they have to go through. And then, of course, in this case, they terminated the careers of 17, or at least removed 17 people from their positions. And it's a real serious situation in that sense.
Why would they think it's a, as you put it, dying career field, Colonel?
Well, there have been pronouncements from the top, all the way from President Obama down through the defense secretary to the Air Force leadership, which basically for many years now have indicated the desire to not only reduce nuclear weapons, but also eventually to eliminate them. So that in and of itself on the surface is a very good thing standpoint, but the problem that you run into is that if there is no plan for transition and no viable way for people to see that plan for transition, then that's exactly what will happen. You will have people who are demoralized because of these pronouncements, thinking that there's no future for them, and then as a result of that, they will pay less attention to their primary duties, and when they pay less attention to their primary duties, mistakes can happen, and mistakes, of course, in that arena are just inexcusable mistakes.
Yeah, I think, you know, generally the public is going to be horrified that 17, particularly when you call them launch officers, these are people who could have had the ability to fire these things, Colonel, or is that too simplistic?
No, that's basically right. A missile launch officer's duty includes the launching of a missile. Now, they always do it with at least, depending on the missile, at least a two-man crew, sometimes more than that. But the basic idea is that these missiles are designed to be under positive control at all times. We have international treaties on a global basis that really make us vulnerable in the sense that we need to make sure that each and every one of the people that we have operating these systems is able to conduct their duties, but also to do those duties in a prescribed manner. And in this particular case, for that particular specialty, the manner in which they conduct their duties is very rigid, and it has been rigid really since the early days of the Cold War.
Colonel, when you hear, as a former colonel in the U.S. Air Force, when you hear the words like rot and attitude problem, what does that suggest to you specifically that these people were guilty of? Are we talking carousing, being drunk on duty, or are we likely more talking about sort of being reluctant to follow orders?
I think it includes certainly the latter. I have not heard any reports indicating that they were drunk and carousing on duty, but if that were the case, that would certainly fit in this category as well. In this particular situation, you have people who failed an inspection, and they failed a significant step in the inspection. The Air Force conducts a series of different types of inspections, and this particular inspection was designed to test the operational readiness of the missile unit in question. And when the key operational mission of the unit is called into question in this way because of a lack of competence or even a perceived lack of competence, that's when these things start happening. And it's very interesting, the deputy group commander out there at Minot Air Force Base was the one who wrote this email to his subordinates, and it was very interesting that he spoke so frankly, because unfortunately, in my opinion, we have often not spoken as frankly as we need to speak to our subordinates. And in this particular case, I give him a lot of credit for speaking very frankly, and hopefully that will change the perception of the way these people are doing their jobs, and also within that career field, make them understand that what they're doing is absolutely critical to the national security of the United States and really the rest of the world.
All right, great to get your uniquely expert view on all of this. Colonel Cedric Leighton, U.S. Air Force retired and president of Cedric Leighton Associates. Thank you so much, Colonel.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for having me.
Great to see you. All right.